There are 7 forms of government I'm going to explain. I'll leave out important details to keep it super basic. My kids really like to touch and hold stuff while they're learning, so I'm going to use Duplos. You could use whatever interests your kids, Legos, action figures. For each government type, I'll show how the leader is chosen, like Mr. Hook here, and how choices are made about resources. So I'll give you some M&Ms for that and to keep your kids engaged. And then there'll be a couple cups. So there's a spend cup and a save cup. And the resources, the M&Ms, will go into one of these. I'm not trying to make a point about how governments spend their money, like whether fascists are great at saving or republics are great at spending. I'm just showing that a choice is being made about a resource. So in fascism, that's the first one, we've got Captain Hook, and he has a pitchfork in his hand and he's got a hook because he is a leader who's taking leadership by force. He doesn't have legitimacy other than that, so he is going to be a militant leader. And the people are in strict formation because social order is of the highest importance to him. Military readiness is also his goal. And he is the one in power. He's not asking for his people's advice or insight. He makes all the choices. He is the absolute dictator. So he's deciding, because he's wearing a red shirt, he's going to choose the red cup. So that is fascism, very basically. Next, we have a monarch. And while Captain Hook really liked the strict social order, monarchs don't need it. So I'm going to move these people around a bit. They don't have to stand in strict formation. They can even sit if they want to. Wild and crazy. So they don't need to be standing in formation. So for our monarch, we've got Snow White. And we've also got a balcony for her and a little turret because she is the queen. So she comes from a royal line, and that's where she gets her power, her legitimacy. So she doesn't need pitchforks and a huge military backing, although she might have it. Her power mainly comes from the fact that her family is important and that she has royal blood. So she's the leader. She's the one who makes the choices. She's not asking for feedback, or she's not asking for her people to vote. She's going to decide, because she's Snow White, she's going to choose the white cup. Again, I'm not saying that monarchs are great at saving. That's just the choice that she's making. She makes the choices. You might want to note with your kids that since the 1600s, we've had parliament, so you can go into that and the shared choice making power that brings. But Snow White is our example of monarchy. Next we have a republic. And in a republic, we'll take Sweater Mom, Grandpa, and Fireman. And these leaders, these three, or this small group, they were appointed. So because they came from a super special, important family, or because the centralized leader chose them, they're the ones who are making the choices for the whole group. So they aren't asking for all the feedback from the people, but they are going to make choices based on what they think is best for the whole group. So these people get together and they say, we want to save. So all the resources go into the save category. And that is a republic. They're not elected, they are appointed. Next, we have a democratic republic, which might sound familiar to you. So in a democratic republic, the people vote, the people get to choose who the leaders are going to be. And so we have grandmas chosen, elected, Ninja Man, and Mr. Engineer. These three, this group of people, the group of leaders, was chosen by the people. They voted for these leaders. So the people have the power because they voted for these leaders who are then going to make choices for them. So these leaders decide they want to spend all the resources. Yay! But the people get upset about that. They didn't want all their money spent. So they might not choose. In fact, they're not going to choose these leaders again. They're going to choose different leaders because the people have the power to choose who their leaders are. And so they have the most power for the choices made. And that is the difference between a republic and a democratic republic. Next, we have a democracy. And in a democracy, you get along, you could have your kids all line up all the whatever figures you're going to use, and they are all going to vote. And at home, it might be interesting for your kids to tear up little pieces of paper and actually write votes of save or spend on each of them and have them drop them in a basket and then count them. But all these people are going to vote, and we'll pretend that more of them voted to save than to spend. So because more of them voted to save than to spend, we're going to do the resources we put in the save cup. Again, I'm not saying that democracies are great at saving. I'm just saying that these people voted, and the majority of them voted for saving. So that's a democracy. Next, we have communism. And for communism, we'll take the balcony and get rid of that turret. And we'll say this balcony represents government. And the government is the one who makes the choices, all the choices, and has all the power in a communist government. We don't have people lining up to vote because they aren't allowed to vote. And the government might decide or appoint some people to represent them as leaders, but the government itself is the most important and the most powerful choice maker. So they decide, we're gonna save our resources. And that, in a nutshell, is communism. I'm not going to put a person there because they're not as important, but the government is the most important in choice making. The last is anarchy. This is really rare, but with anarchy, nobody's making a choice about a leader because there is no leader. And these people are going to be scattered. Some of them are even laying down. And you could have one of your kids do this. You could pour the Legos out because there are no rules. Everyone is out for themselves, and resources are taken wherever they find them. So you can pour these out. You could even have a couple of them fighting over a resource, and that is anarchy. I'm not going to put a person here because no one's in charge. There are no rules with anarchy. And those are the 7 forms of government. Very basically, but